Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. They say legends never die. But sometimes, when the world isn't watching, even the greatest heroes leave behind secrets no one ever expected. When the news broke that Hulk Hogan wrestling icon, pop culture titan, and the face of an arrowhead had passed away, the world mourned. Fans everywhere remembered the red and yellow, the flexed muscles, the unforgettable voice. But no one was prepared for what would be discovered in the quiet shadows of his private garage. It started as a routine estate inspection, just a formality. But as the heavy garage door creaked open, a wave of dust and memories filled the air. The world had seen Hulk Hogan in the ring, larger than life, but what lay hidden here was something no one had ever seen. Not even those closest to him. The first thing they found was a collection of championship belts, some familiar, some never before seen. Each one told a story. Some were battered, the leather cracked, the gold faded. Others were pristine, as if waiting for a moment that never came. It was what lay beneath them that sent chills down the spines of those present. A box, old, wooden, and locked tight. The initials B.B. carved into the lid. Not Hogan's, not anyone's, at least not at first glance. When they pried it open, inside were letters, hundreds of them, K, each one addressed to a name wrestling fans would recognize. Brother Brutus, letters never sent. Letters filled with regret, apologies, and confessions. Words Hogan had never spoken aloud. Stories of friendship, betrayal, and the pain of fame. The world had seen the show, but here was the man vulnerable, haunted by the past. But the surprises didn't end there. In the far corner, covered by a faded American flag, was a motorcycle. Not just any bike. This was the one from his earliest days, before the fame, before the spotlight. The one he rode to his first wrestling tryout, engine sputtering, hope burning in his chest. The one he almost sold when money was tight, when dreams seemed too heavy to carry. The one he kept, always, as a reminder of where he came from and how far he'd traveled. On the seat, a single photograph. Kea, young and smiling, arm in arm with his parents. A family portrait, untouched by time, untouched by fame. It's the kind of photo you keep close, even when the world feels far away. It was a moment frozen in black and white. A reminder that before the world called him a hero, he was just a son. Just a boy with a dream and a family who believed in him. The photo was worn at the edges. The ink faded, but the love in their eyes was unmistakable. It was a piece of his heart, hidden away from the cameras, the crowds, the chaos, and then the tapes. Dozens of them. Old VHS, labeled in Hogan's unmistakable handwriting, for my kids, for my fans, for me. Hours of unseen footage stacked neatly in a dusty box. Hogan? Not as the world knew him, but as a father, a friend, a man searching for meaning beyond the ring. In one, he speaks directly to the camera, voice trembling. If you're watching this, I hope you remember me for more than the matches. I hope you remember the man I tried to be. The tapes revealed a side of Hogan few had ever witnessed. There were birthday parties, laughter echoing through the garage as he clowned around with his children. There were quiet moments, too Hogan sitting alone, reflecting on the choices he'd made, the people he'd hurt, the dreams he'd chased, and the ones he'd left behind. In one tape, he reads a letter from a fan, tears streaming down his face. "You saved my life," the letter said. Hogan's voice cracked as he whispered, "You saved mine, too." There were trophies, yes. Memorabilia, sure. Rows of action figures, posters, and championship belts. Okay. But the real treasure was the vulnerability. The raw, unfiltered truth of a man who spent his life playing a hero, but who, in the end, was just as human as the rest of us. The garage wasn't just a storage space. It was a sanctuary, a place where Hulk Hogan could take off the mask, even if only for a moment. In another corner, they found a stack of journals, leather-bound pages, yellowed with age. Each entry, a confession, a prayer, a plea for forgiveness. He wrote about the pressure of being a role model, the fear of letting people down, the loneliness that crept in after the lights went out. He wrote about his regrets, missed birthdays, broken friendships, words he wished he'd said, he wrote. about redemption, about the hope that one day he'd be remembered not just for his strength, but for his heart as the world watched. The contents of that garage became more than just headlines. They became a window into the soul of a legend. Fans wept. Old friends reached out. Rivals forgave. The world saw, maybe for the first time, the cost of greatness, the loneliness behind the cheers, the sacrifices made in silence. There was a letter addressed to his children, never mailed. In it, Hogan wrote, "I know I wasn't always there. I know I made mistakes, but I loved you more than anything. I hope you can forgive me. Hope you can be proud of the man I tried to become." The words were simple, but the pain was real. The kind of pain that only comes from loving deeply and losing often. The ink was smudged in places, as if tears had fallen while he wrote. It was a confession, a plea, and a hope, all wrapped into a few lines on a page. A father's heart laid bare, asking for understanding from the only people whose forgiveness truly mattered. Among the boxes, they found a pair of wrestling boots, scuffed, worn, the laces frayed. The boots he wore in his very first match. He'd kept them all these years, a silent promise to never forget where he started. The leather was cracked, the soles nearly worn through, but to Hogan, they were priceless. Next to them, a handwritten note. Never stop fighting, no matter how hard it gets. It was a message to himself and to anyone who ever felt like giving up, a reminder that every champion starts as an underdog and that the real battles are often fought far from the spotlight. There was a guitar too. It's dusty, strings broken, but still beautiful. Hogan had always loved music. Hey, one of the tapes, he strums a few chords, singing softly to himself. The song is about hope, about second chances, about finding light in the darkness. His voice is rough, but honest. You can hear the years in every note, the struggles, the triumphs, the heartbreaks. It was a side of Hogan the world rarely saw. Man alone with his thoughts, using music to heal old wounds. The guitar, like so much else in the garage, was a symbol. A reminder that even the strongest need a way to let their soul breathe. And then, tucked away in a small box, a collection of fan letters. Some from children, some from adults. Stories of how Hogan inspired them, gave them courage, helped them believe in themselves. He'd read every one, underlined words that meant the most. "Thank you for being my hero," one letter said. Hogan wrote back, "Thank you for believing in me." The letters were worn at the edges, some with crayon drawings, others with shaky handwriting. Each one a testament to the impact he had, not just as a wrestler, but as a symbol of hope for people who needed it most. There were other things, too. A faded bandana, still bright with the colors of his glory days. A Polaroid of Hogan and his best friend, laughing backstage before a big match. Stack of old ticket stubs, each one a memory of a night when the crowd roared and the world felt alive. There was a small, battered Bible, its pages marked with notes and prayers. In the margins, Hogan had written, "Strength isn't just in the body, it's in the heart." It was clear that faith had been a quiet anchor in his life, something he turned to when the cheers faded and the nights grew long. In another box, they found scripts for interviews and promos some never used, some scribbled with last-minute changes. The pages were yellowed, the ink faded, but the passion was still there, alive in every word. Notes in the margins revealed. A man who cared deeply about his message, who wanted to inspire, not just entertain. There were lines crossed out, replaced with something more honest, more vulnerable. There were reminders to smile, to thank the fans, to always remember where he came from. There were drafts of apologies, words he wished he'd said to people he'd hurt along the way. Some were addressed to old friends, others to family, and a few to rivals he never truly hated. There were lists of goals, some achieved, some abandoned. Dreams of movies he never made, charities he wanted to start, places he wanted to visit with his children. Each page was a piece of a puzzle, a glimpse into the mind of a man who was always striving, always searching for something more. There was a small velvet pouch containing a gold locket. Inside, a lock of his mother's hair and a tiny photo of her smiling. Hogan had carried it with him for decades, a secret source of strength. The locket was worn, the clasp barely holding. But it was clear it had been opened and closed 1,000 times. In one of the tapes, he holds the locket and says, "She believed in me when no one else did. I hope I made her proud." The moment is raw, unguarded. His voice cracks, and for a moment, the legend disappears, leaving only a son missing his mother. It's a reminder that even the biggest heroes are, at their core, someone's child, shaped by love and loss. There were other keepsakes too. A faded birthday card from his daughter with a stick figure drawing of the two of them holding hands. A ticket stub from the first time he took his son to a baseball game. A pressed flower, brown and fragile, from the bouquet his wife gave him after his first championship win. Each item was small, almost insignificant on its own, but together they told a story of a life lived in moments, not just milestones. In a battered shoebox, they found a stack of old Polaroids. Hogan, laughing with friends backstage. Hogan sitting quietly in an empty arena, staring at the ring. Hogan holding his newborn son, tears in his eyes. The photos were candid, unposed, capturing the man behind the myth. In one, he's caught mid-laugh, head thrown back, eyes shining. In another, he looks tired, almost defeated. But there's a determination in his gaze that says he's not done fighting yet. There was a journal, its cover cracked and pages filled with messy handwriting. In it, Hogan wrote about his fears. Failing, of being forgotten, of not living up to the image the world had of him. He wrote about the pressure to always be strong, to never show weakness, even when he felt like he was falling apart inside. He wrote about the nights he couldn't sleep, haunted by memories of matches lost and friendships broken. But he also wrote about hope, about the fans who lifted him up, the family who kept him grounded, the moments of joy that made it all worthwhile. Maybe, just maybe, we all learned something. That even our heroes carry burdens. That even the strongest among us have regrets. That redemption is possible, even if it comes too late to say the words out loud. The garage was more than a place. It was a confession, a final chapter written in dust and memories. It was a place where the legend became a man again, where the weight of the world could be set down, if only for a little while. There was a box of letters he'd written to himself over the years. Some were pep talks before big matches, others were reflections after tough losses. In one, he wrote, "You're more than the belt. You're more than the cheers. Don't forget who you are." And another, after a public scandal, he wrote, "You made mistakes, own them, learn from them, be better." The letters were brutally honest, sometimes harsh, but always hopeful. They showed a man who never stopped trying to grow, to heal, to become the best version of himself. There was a faded map with routes highlighted in red, places he'd traveled for matches, cities where he'd met fans, towns where he'd found peace. Next to the map, a list of names, people he wanted to thank, people he wanted to forgive, people he hoped would forgive him. Some names were crossed out, others circled, as if he was still working through the list, still trying to make amends. In a corner, they found a small, hand-carved box, beside a collection of sobriety chips, each one marking another year of hard-fought victory over his demons. There was a note tucked inside, "One day at a time. You're stronger than you think." It was a quiet testament to battles fought in silence, victories that never made the headlines. So what did they find in Hulk Hogan's garage after his death? They found the truth. They found the man behind the myth. And in doing so, they reminded us all that every legend has a story worth telling, if only we're willing to look beyond the spotlight. They found hope, pain, love, and the echoes of a life lived in the public eye, but felt most deeply in private moments. They found the dreams that never faded, the wounds that never fully healed, and the love that outlasted everything else. As the world learned about these discoveries, something changed. Fans who had idolized the hero now mourned the man. Old friends reached out, some for the first time in years. Rivals let go of grudges, realizing that life is too short for anything less than forgiveness. The world saw, maybe for the first time, the cost of greatness, the loneliness behind the cheers, the sacrifices made in silence. And in that moment, Hulk Hogan became more than a legend. It became a symbol of what it means to be human. If this story moved you, If you felt the weight of these hidden chapters, please like this video, subscribe to Celebus, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you want the world to find in your story? What would you leave behind? Not for the cameras, but for the people who truly knew you. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching.